Chapter 2, Demand and Supply. This is introduction. The demand, before we start for the supply, so we start with demand first. Demand and supply is very important in economics. That's the basic core. So any theory normally start with demand and supply. So it is important for you to understand what is the definition and law of demand and supply. So there are two parts in this chapter. The first part is demand and the second part is supply. We start with demand first. The definition of demand is the ability and willingness to buy specific quantities of goods in a given period of time, okay, at particular price and ceteris paribus. So ceteris paribus mean you keep other things constant. Other factors that contribute to the quantity that you want to buy or your demand, okay, is constant or do not change except for the price of the product. Okay, so that's why the ability you able and you willing to buy, okay, a specific good, okay, at the how much amount or quantity that you want to buy at specific time period at specific price. At 2 ringgit, how much you want to buy? At 5 ringgit, how much you want to buy? So the quantity here depends on this price. Okay, quantity, how much table you want, how many table you want to buy depends on the price of the table. Only the price of the table. Okay, you assume that other things remain constant. So that is meant by ceteris paribus. So other things may be your income, your taste and preferences, and other factors. The only things that change is only price. The law of demand states that other things being equal, which is ceteris paribus just now, the higher the price of that product, okay, the lower the quantity demanded. Okay, this is for a normal good. Okay, so when price of that good increase, become more expensive, you reduce the quantity demanded. And vice versa or contradict. Okay, when price drop, quantity demanded will increase. So the direction is conversely. Okay, so the relationship between P and QD is negative relationship. And then we have individual demand and market demand. Individual demand if there is only one buyer. This is the example. Okay, individual A, Shafiq, one buyer only, and the demand for cake. So at the combination of the price and quantity demanded, if the price is too expensive, 5 ringgit here, Shafiq only buy 2 units of cake. The quantity demanded is only 2. However, if the price of cake become cheaper, 1 ringgit, Shafiq willing to buy more. So this is aligned with law of demand just now. When price cheaper, quantity demanded increase. Okay. So that's why if you draw P and Q, okay, if you draw this one, the relationship is negative. So that's why if you plot between Q here and price, okay, you get a negative slope or downward sloping, represent the demand curve. Okay, this is the graph. Okay, when you plot the combination of 5 ringgit of cake, you only, or Shafiq only buy 2 units. If price cheaper to 1 ringgit, okay, Shafiq willing to buy more at 9 ringgit. So you plot all the combination, you will get negative sloping. So this is the demand curve. Meanwhile, the market demand refer to the total demand, okay, by all buyers in that market. This is the example. Just now we have only one buyer, individual A or Shafiq, and then we have another buyer. So let's say in that market there are only 2 buyers. So to get the market demand here, you have to add all buyers. So for example, at price 5 ringgit, A willing to buy 2 units, B willing to buy 1 unit. The total market demand is 3 units of cake. But if price reduced to 1 ringgit, Okay, A willing to buy more from 2 to 9. Okay, B from 1 to 10. Okay, so when price drop, quantity demanded will increase. If price increase, quantity demanded will drop. Okay, so that's why market demand, when price cheaper, quantity demanded is when price expensive, quantity demanded become lesser, and if price cheaper, quantity demanded increase. So the relationship between market demand and the price still negative. So if they ask you to plot the diagram, draw the diagram, so it is the relationship between P and market demand. It is not individual demand unless it is stated here, it is stated on the question paper that you have to draw individual demand and then market demand. But if they ask for demand only or market demand, so you have to plot between P and here, the amount of quantity demanded here, the total quantity demanded. If you have 10 buyers, so you have to add by 10 individual to get market demand. And this is the diagram for market demand. So demand here is the market demand. Okay, so any change in price, increase or drop, it is only a movement along the same demand curve. So there is only one demand curve. So the keyword is a movement. Let's say from for the price 3 ringgit to 5 ringgit. So combination C to combination A. So that is an upward movement referring to contraction quantity demanded from 8 to 4. If price drop, okay, it is a movement downward, okay, referring to expansion demand. Okay, expand from 8 to 20. So if you go more further, you will notice that if change in quantity demanded versus change in demand, okay, this is quantity. Here, there's no quantity, only demand. So the change in quantity demanded is because of the price of its own good. Okay. If you talk about the quantity of the table just now, it is the price of the table, not because of the price of the chair, price of the food, and other price, but price of its own good. Okay. So here, change in quantity demanded here. Change in quantity demanded refer to a movement along the demand curve because of the price its own good. Okay, with the assumption that other things you keep constant. Okay, other factors that lead to the demand for that table constant, only the price change. So that's why just now from PO to P1, if the price rise, okay, it is a movement upward referring to contraction quantity demanded. If the price of that things, for example, the table just now drop, okay, it is a movement downward referring to expansion demand. Okay, there is only one demand curve, so the change we refer to a movement. Okay, the difference between change in quantity demanded and change in demand, okay, it is because of other factor. Okay, remember just now you keep other things constant, the ceteris paribus. So here, if that assumption is not valid, if the factors change, okay, so it lead to change in demand. So here, price of its own good constant doesn't change. Okay, the things that make demand change is because of other factor, not because of the price of that good. So that's why that one refer to a shift. So there will be two demand curve. So the whole entire demand curve shift to the right or to the left. So as a summary, change in quantity demanded, it is a movement along the demand curve, okay, downward or upward. If the price drop or the price increase, it lead to a expansion or contraction quantity demanded. A change in demand because of non-price factors such as income, preferences, or price of related good, not because of the price of its own good, but price of related good, that change the demand. Here, change in demand, not change in quantity demanded. So, if you draw a diagram, okay, it is a shift upward, it is shift rightward or leftward. So, Q increase or drop. The price remain constant here. So just ignore this one. Okay, from here to here and from here to here. Okay, a shift or change in demand is because of other factors. So what are the factors? The first is income. So income we denote as I or Y. Okay, I or 1. Okay, either one. When the income increase, the demand for certain good will increase. So remember this is D, not QD. Okay, this is valid for normal good and also luxury good. Okay, as more income you receive, the more demand for normal good and luxury good. But for given good or inferior good is a good that is people ask when they have low income. Okay, normally it is a low quality product. Okay, for example, the bundle clothing, okay, low quality food. Okay, for this one, if your income increase, your demand for that product will drop. If your income drop, demand for given or inferior good will increase. So whenever I talk about increase or drop in demand, so you must imagine that the demand curve shift to the right or to the left. If demand increase, so to the right. If demand decrease, to the left. Why the price still constant? Okay. And then price of related good. Okay. Prices of related good can be complementary good or substitute good. Complementary goods are the goods that you use together. Okay, it is a go together good or jointly consumed good. Our example in class is the printer and ink, if you still remember. So if you want to use the printer, you must use the ink so that the printer function well. So it is a complementary good. So it is an inverse negative relationship between the price change for one good and demand for the go together good. For example, if the price of the ink increase, so QD for ink will drop. As a result, the demand for printer will drop. So here is QD because this is ink and this is ink because of the change in its own goods, which is ink. So when price ink increase, quantity demanded of the ink drop. However, demand for printer, here I use DD not QD, drop. Okay, because demand of printer drop because of the change in its in the price of its related good, which is complementary good. So the relationship between price change for one good and the demand for the go together good is negative. Okay, price increase, demand printer drop, so negative, inverse. This is another example. Price of the car and the demand for petrol. So price of the car increase, that will lead to quantity demanded of the car drop. So here is the diagram for the car. Price of the car increase. As a result, the quantity demanded for the car drop. However, the demand for petrol will also drop. Okay, even though the price of the petrol or fuel doesn't change constant, however, the demand for the petrol drop to the left. Q also drop to the left. Okay, because of price of related good. For substitute good, okay, it is a good that is compete with each other. Okay, you use either one. You want to, for example, the coffee and tea here. So it is a direct positive relationship between price change for one good and the demand for its competitor good. So if the price of tea increase, for example, and then quantity demanded for tea will drop. Law of demand. So price tea increase, quantity demanded of tea will drop. As a result, the demand for coffee will increase. So demand for coffee increase from D0 to D2. Shift to the right. Q increase for the coffee even though the price constant. Okay, because of related good. Okay, people demand coffee more because tea, okay, relatively more expensive compared to coffee. And then number of buyers, of course, if there are many buyers in that market, so the demand curve will shift to the right, increase. However, if number of buyers drop, so the demand curve also drop to the left. Taste and preferences. If your taste nowadays to maybe to buy certain foods, okay, maybe because of the viral, the power of the viral, so the food that particular food the demand increasing, so the demand curve for that food will shift to the right. And then expectation of the buyer, if the buyer expect that the price today we expect the price for tomorrow will drop, so the demand for today for that goods or product will drop because people will wait until tomorrow to buy that good. But if people expect the price for that good expensive tomorrow, so the demand for today for that product will increase, shift to the right. Government policy, we have two types. Subsidy. So if tax increase, the demand will drop. When tax drop, demand will increase. Okay, shift to the right and to the left. For subsidy, if subsidy increase, this is not supply but subsidy. If subsidy increase, the demand will increase. If subsidy drop, demand will drop. Shift to the left. Seasonal factor. Let's say maybe because nowadays is monsoon season where every evening we face a heavy rain, so the demand for umbrella will increase. So shift to the right. Okay, seasonal factor maybe because of the COVID-19, so the demand for mask and sanitizer also increased. But after the season end, the demand of the sanitizer and mask will drop, shift to the left. For innovation and technological progress, okay, so more advanced in technology, the demand will increase. Okay, for the technology and innovation, do not mention about the drop in demand, okay, or drop in technology, because technology always progressing, so always increase, so the demand always increase. This is interrelated demand, demand berkaitan. So interrelated demand, we have joint demand and competitive demand. Joint demand, the concept is quite similar with the complementary good that we discussed before this. And then for competitive demand, it is a substitute good. So when you read by your own, you can imagine the complementary and substitute good. Okay, and then this is derived demand. Derived demand is a demand that accidentally you produce when you want to produce anything else. Okay, for example, in the production function or in the production process. So in the production process, you use inputs, resources. So if people demand more, maybe house here, demand more house. So the input to build this house increase, for example, the labor. So people actually not demand for the labor, but for the house. So the labor is the derived demand from the demand of the house. This is exceptional demand curve. If the normal demand curve, it follow law of demand. When price increase, quantity demanded drop, and vice versa. Okay, but for exceptional demand curve, the demand for certain goods maybe not follow this law. For example, luxury good and inferior good. So this is normally for a normal good only. Let's look at luxury goods. So the diagram from here to here is a normal demand curve. Okay, it is a negative relationship between P and Q. However, after certain stage, at certain price, so if the price above this level, maybe as more more expensive the product is, the more people demand for it. So this one is for luxury good. And this is for given good. Okay, so this is a normal demand curve. This is demand, negative relationship between P and Q. Still aligned with law of demand. However, if the price is too low, maybe the quality also drop. So the lower the price, the lesser the demand is. So this is not aligned with law of demand. So this is price increase, quantity demanded drop. But here, if the price drop, quantity demanded drop, it is a positive relationship. So violate the law of demand. So this one is for given good or inferior good. So maybe if the price is too cheap, maybe you're not confident to use that price, so you don't want to buy that thing. So that's why it is a given good. Okay, unless your income drop. So if I combine all exceptional demand, so you have this shape and you can split by three part or three region. All of these are demand curve. So there is only one demand curve we combine. So this one is a normal shape of demand curve, D. Negative relationship between P and Q. So this one is for normal good. But if the more expensive the price, people buy more, this is for luxury good. If the price become cheap and cheap, become more cheaper, and then you tend not to buy that product. So it is a positive, not negative. Okay, not aligned with the law of demand. So this is a given good or inferior good. Now, we continue with the second part, supply. Okay, if you understand the demand, the supply is quite similar, except now the supply curve is upward, not downward. Okay, but the flow of study, okay, after this slide is just similar with demand. Law of demand just now, so now is before this is definition and law of demand, but now is definition and law of supply, and then individual and market supply. But before that, you must imagine that when you discuss about supply, you must imagine that you are the producer, that you prefer a higher price, not cheaper price anymore. Okay, so definition of supply is the quantity of goods or services that will be offered for sale at a given period of time in given market, assuming other things remain the same or certain variables. Or if you want to use the same sentence like the definition of demand, Okay, you can change to the willingness and ability to supply. Just now in demand is to buy. Here to supply certain goods at a particular time period. Okay, at a certain time period at a particular or certain price, such as variables, or you keep other things constant. The law of supply states that when the price increase, quantity supply will increase, and as the price drop, quantity of the supply will drop. So it is a positive relationship between price and quantity supply. So that's why if you draw a diagram, it is upward. This is supply curve between P and Q, with the assumption that other things remain constant, such as variables. The only things that change here is the price of its own good. So it is a movement along the same supply curve. This is supply, individual supply. There is only one seller, the PNQS. This is market supply. If individual supply, only one seller. If market supply, you combine all sellers in that market. So if you have only two, you add these two, you will get the market supply. And if you look here, if the price hike at 5 ringgit, okay, seller A willing to sell 11 unit, B 12 unit. So the market supply is 23. But if the price becomes cheaper, 1 ringgit only, maybe you occur loss as a producer. So that's why you drop your supply from 11 to 3 only. And seller B do not supply anything. Okay, so the market supply is only 3. So this is aligned with law of supply. When price increase, quantity supply will increase. When price drop here, quantity supply will also drop. So that's why it is a upward supply curve. So for example, if 5 ringgit, market supply is 23. So here is 23. Okay, but if price drop from 5 to 1, only 3 market supply. So it is a movement downward, referring to what we call this? Contraction quantity supply. If the price increase, it is a movement upward, referring to expansion supply. So changes in quantity supply versus changes in supply. I just go for the diagram. So here change in quantity supply, and here is change in supply. Change in quantity supply, it is a movement along the same demand curve because of the change in the price of its own good. So let's say price increase, so it is a movement upward along the same supply curve. Okay, it is expansion quantity supply. But if the price drop, it is a movement downward, referring to contraction quantity supply. So the keyword is the movement and because of price of its own good. Meanwhile, for the change in supply, it is a shift due to a change in other factor. Okay, except the price, you keep the price constant. So if the price constant at P0 here, however, supply may increase or drop. Okay, I give example cost here. If your cost of production increase, so supply will drop. Shift to the left. Okay, so supply drop, here supply increase. But if cost of production drop, your profit margin increase, so supply will increase. Shift to the right. Q increase from Q1 to Q2. So what are the other factors that may shift the supply curve to the right and to the left? Change in supply. The first is the number of sellers. Of course, the more and more seller you have in that market, the more market supply is, so the supply curve will shift to the right. So if the seller become lesser, the supply curve will shift to the left. Price of related products, substitute and complement. Okay, I let you to read by your own. Cost of production, I already give example. Technology advancement, as more technology, the more supply will be. So supply curve shift to the right. So only explain in one way only for technology curve. Supply shift to the right only. Okay, time period, you have two types of time period, short run and long run. In the short run, maybe you don't have enough time to increase the supply too much, so not really change in short run, but in the long run, maybe supply curve will shift to the right or to the left. Okay, producers or sellers objective, if you already target to produce maybe twice of your production for this year, so for this year supply curve will shift to the right. But if you set objective to reduce the supply, so it will shift to the left. For tax and subsidy, okay, it's just similar with the demand curve. If tax increase, so supply will drop. If subsidy increase, supply will increase. Okay, this is only one way analysis. Okay, you can do the vice versa. So whenever I talk about decrease or increase in supply, mean that the supply curve will shift to the right or to the left. Okay, reduce in supply, so leftward. Increase in supply, so rightward. Interrelated supply, okay, this is supply penawaran yang berkaitan. Interrelated supply, joint supply. For the joint supply, you're not purposely want to produce that good, okay, but you accidentally maybe produce the good because of when you produce. Just give you example here. If you want to produce petrol, you increase the supply of petrol, so the supply for gas will also increase. The same thing with the meat and leather. So if you want to increase the supply of meat, the supply of leather will also increase. Competitive supply, this one is the product that use the same input factor of production, for example, rubber and oil palm. So the input is just the same. So if there is an increase in the rubber, okay, so you produce more rubber, you will not produce oil palm. Okay. Exceptional supply. Okay, this exceptional supply do not follow the law of supply. The law of supply says that when price increase, supply will increase. But here, if the price increase, quantity, supply drop. So this one is not or against the law of supply. For example, the labor and wage rate. So this is example. So from here to here, this region, it is a normal supply curve, positive between the price and quantity. The price is the wage rate. The price for labor is the wage rate. The quantity labor in terms of working hours. So at first, when your boss asks you to work more, okay, over time, you are willing to work if they pay you more. Okay, but maybe after certain level, if they ask you to work more and more, maybe you need more time for yourself, okay, for rest, for your family, so you're not willing to work more, okay, even though the price increase. So from here to here, it is an exceptional supply curve. This is normal supply curve. Okay, if you read further, there is a concept for income effect, substitution effect. But for ECO415, you don't have to worry much about this. Okay, so the next chapter is supposed to be elasticity, but I already uploaded 2 days ago. So the next video will be the equilibrium. Thank you.